This is Power 102 Digital Friday. Hard Talk starts now with host Mr. Wendell Grant, a representative of the Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Today's topic, let me put it simply, driving attitudes. Good afternoon, Wendell, and how are you?
Good afternoon, my brother. Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Taking it easy.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I was reminding those people that it's raining. The roads are wet. It's slippery when wet. There are no new tires for wet roads. And there should be no alcohol drinking when driving, especially as we go into the weekend.
Yes. So I want to address from the Fathers Association perspective
Hmm.
the driving attitude of our citizenry. Um, Coming from a person of a large number of years' experience, I am a motorcyclist. I am a driver. I'm a truck driver.
Hmm.
I could drive anything. I'm licensed to drive many things. You know, um, backhoe operator, forklift operator, you name it, I
Hmm.
can handle it.
Nice.
And I can tell you that I am very concerned with what I see happening on the roadways today. You know, as a motorcyclist, for example, when I leave my home, I often say to my family, I will see you all later by the grace of God.
Hmm.
Because on any given day when I get on my motorcycle, I am not one of those reckless riders, you know. Motorcyclists, some motorcyclists have a reputation for being very reckless, and you know, within recent times we have seen, and over the years we continue to see motorcyclists dying because of unnecessary amount of speed, as well as being getting bad drive from motorists.
Hmm.
And I can tell you in my own experience that motorcyclists' number one enemy is a motorist. Because on any given day that I leave my home, the amount of near misses that I have with my motorcycle, it is only by the grace of God that I return home.
Hmm.
Because the motorists, they seem not to pay attention. Some of them are on their phones. You know, it is illegal. A number of things are illegal by way of the traffic laws of this country, and yet on a daily basis, I see the laws being broken. People are on their cell phones, um, texting, talking while driving. Truck drivers, in particular, you can notice them with their cell phones, and you know, and then you see them on social media complaining when they get ticketed. You know,
Hmm.
I think that there needs to be greater enforcement of the law regarding these offences. Now, you know, within recent time with the Ministry of Roads and Transport launching their new initiatives and so on and increasing their offensive against errant drivers on the road and so on, I hear a lot of complaints. And I want to say that some of these complaints are without any basis, no? Because really, people are breaking the law, and breaking the law resulting in the death of innocent people on the roadways. So today I want to encourage Trinidad and Tobago and the driving public to obey the law. You know, the Fathers Association does not support lawbreakers, right? There are children that are left fatherless as a result of men or women who broke the law, which resulted in accidents and death. Some people have been maimed as a result of vehicular-related accidents. You know, crippled, handicapped as a result of errant drivers. You know, quite recently we saw the young lady being killed in that accident on the David Highway.
Yeah.
And you know something, bro? What is very remarkable is that I am observing a very callous attitude towards that entire um, accident. You know, people are defending the young man, um, even though his recklessness resulted in the death of someone. People are defending him and making excuses for him.
Hmm.
And so this is very concerning because it says that we are a lawless society. We do not recognize that certain things are illegal. It is illegal to drive above 100 kilometers per hour on the highway. It is, you know, there are laws governing how much kilometers per hour you can drive in a built-up area, and these things are not being observed. I see a number of young people purchasing high-powered engines and installing it in vehicles that were not manufactured to to carry that amount of horsepower without any further modification to the braking system or anything else in the vehicle. And you know, they're driving up and down at breakneck speed, as they would say.
Hmm.
And I believe that you know, there are a number of reasons why these things are happening. I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses for anybody, but let's look at the statistics. In 2023, the road deaths were 103, 99 of which were adults, 3 were minors, 43 of those were drivers. In 2024, and we are only in the month of August, we already have 70 road deaths. 69 of those are adults, 1 minor, and 22 drivers.
Hmm.
And yet we complain that the government is imposing, you know, heavy penalties on errant drivers and defective vehicles and so on. And regardless of what ulterior motive they may have, the reality is that the population needs to be checked concerning the manner, the attitude of driving on the nation's roadway. Right? There are a number of factors that have contributed, and some of those things we need to address. One of the things that I have observed since I was a young man myself, you know, at a young age, I was into fast car. In fact, I have a fast car. I have always had a fast car from the age of 18. However, my fast car is parked in my garage. I'm not driving it because the road conditions are not conducive to driving a fast car on the road. You know, you can easily hit a bump, hit a little depression, a pothole, and that's the end of that, right? However, one of the things that I observed from very young is that we do not have facilities in Trinidad and Tobago to facilitate some of the things that the young folks may want to get involved in. And one of the things that young people like to do is drive. You know, for some reason, a lot of young people seem to be obsessed with going very fast, right? The only facility that we have in Trinidad and Tobago is the facility at Waller Field. And I really don't want to get too deeply into that because, you know, I'll give you a simple example for dealing with that whole Waller Field thing. People spend a lot of money building fast cars and so on, and then you have to pay $1,000 to register to go and race at Waller Field, right? If you go to Waller Field and realize that there are no proper facilities, even what they are calling a track at Waller Field leaves a lot to be desired of, right? So there isn't any real facility in Trinidad and Tobago for young people, for the youth, for young men or women to express that need for speed. And I think that is something that is very important that the government should be and should have been looking into for a long time now. We used to have a facility in Camden. I believe that there was one accident in Camden and they closed the facility down. The reality of it is internationally, in every raceway, people die. Accidents happen at raceways. That's one of the things that happen when you're driving high powered vehicles, right? So the closing facility at Camden, what that did was put all the youths who were going up to Camden to express that need, they put them back on the streets. Now, I am telling you what I have been witnessing for myself. There, sometimes these young men, they get together, they find some little hole, some little stretch of roadway that is offbeat. It's not in the general public. It's not affecting the general public in any way. And they go there and they get together, they have the little lime and they do their little drifting and whatever. And the police will come and chase them off, right? Because there are no facilities where they can legally go and do that. So that's one of the reasons why we have some of the youths on the streets driving in the manner that they're driving. And I think that's something that we need to look into so that we can make provision. I think that the government needs to make provision. I mean, we can make money. The government can make money out of that. If you provide a facility, people come and pay a reasonable fee and get to express themselves, legally. I think that they will do it instead of penalizing them, charging them, terrorizing them, and leaving them on the streets to do their own thing. What do you think?
Well, I too, I agree with you a whole lot because I remember at one time around Skinner Park there in San Fernando, before well, it's some years ago. I mean, a bunch of young people use that strip of road from Skinner Park to the traffic light at the Gulf City link road. That distance, and they would do drag racing, and at one time there was an accident there, maybe a couple times, but one proved to be one that I can remember proved to be fatal, and then the police came and they shut it down, and but I too weren't too pleased with the venue that they chose because it's a thoroughfare that you'll find people traversing from San Fernando to the eastern side of Trinidad, like Princestown and those areas, Coquille, Victoria area and stuff, So it was used, but they would come out there late at nights, and they would use that strip. It used to be a big line. At one time, I used to wonder how come the police not there at all until we had an accident there that brought the police in, So after that, they really put a damper on it, and I never see it happen again. But where I live to, it's a stretch of road in Labrador, and sometimes at nights. So these guys who drive these who design this car for speed would use this strip as a testing ground because they're not racing one another. They just go to the top from the pitch lake and we'll go dragging down at top speed all the way down to Pointer, and that created a lot of headache for a lot of people because in the area, children will be crossing the roads. I mean, not at that time at night, but lately I said that young people will be on the roads, So it's an area that you have people moving about. So a lot of people talk about it, but there is need for some sort of facilitation for these young people to go and express that kind of a sporting spirit, if I should call it that, because I mean, we have Ferrari, we have all different kind of car racing events that young people like, and I think it should be facilitated. And the Wallerfield entity, I mean, at one time it was a big thing, and then for some reason, maybe it's that cost you talk about to use it, that $1,000. fee. I mean, that's a lot of money. If you want to check it out, if you just want to go there and have some fun, if fun is what it is about, and to express yourself or to do that kind of stuff, But I don't think the government um look at that as something they should facilitate. They probably see the private sectors as the people who should or the entities who should probably put up something like that and facilitate people where that is concerned. Uh, I too I'm quite concerned about speed as a sporting event. There should be facilitation for that, and I think there are lots of areas where they can develop for it outside of the Wallafield area and stuff. And added to that, now I traverse north, south, south, north every day, Monday to Friday. Sometimes on weekends too. In and out of Port of Spain, and on the north south highway, brother. There are times when some guys will run past me there, and I will look at my speedometer and say, "Well, wow, I wonder how fast is he going?" Or why is he driving so fast? And there are a lot of accidents and incidents along those roadways, especially in the south, where there are hardly much traffic lights to have some kind of control as compared to the Churchill Roosevelt Highway. I mean, I'm from the Valsin to the Curup area. They have removed some of the traffic lights, but from St. Augustine heading east and things, there are lots of traffic lights that will help drivers to take down their speed because the traffic lights will be changing ever so often. But down south, those highways down south, we don't have traffic lights on those highways, so it's a free for all kind of speed zone, and a lot of people have seen in the social media, especially of the incidents. There was one where a young guy lost control of his vehicle, ran off the road right in front of another driver, and when he crashed, he went into the passenger seat, and he was asking, "Well, where is the driver? Where is the driver?" But a lot of people saw him. So now I think today in the news I was hearing that they charged him for it, and I think that attitude towards driving with that kind of speed, I mean, there were times too when I drove very fast. Sometimes I'm coming to Port of Spain to do some show or something, and I got caught up in time or traffic, and I would press it a bit. But I think if you are to be driving that fast, even though you could be breaking the speed limit, I think what should be applicable are the regulations. I tend to think of regulations as the safe method of driving. They have these defensive driving schools and procedures and stuff. I think once you have your regulations set in your mind as the guidelines for using the nation's roadways, I think that can help you keep control of the vehicle, because outside of having vehicle with malfunctions, I mean, when you're driving at that kind of speed, you must know that you're going at that kind of speed. You must be very, very mindful of that, and that anything can happen. So I guess with that mm, blueprint that we call the regulations, I think you should be guided by that. But some people just overdo it. They take some crazy chances on the north south highway too. Um, Most of the time, you see people, uh, the regulations will say keep left except when overtaking. And you see people casually driving on what we call the fast lane, because there are no fast lanes in Trinidad and Tobago. Nowhere is there any kind of identification of where the fast lanes are. It's just like you should keep left except when overtaking. So the lane that you're overtaking on, let's call that the fast lane. But if you're heading south, anytime, you'd find a lot of drivers, and it happens across the board. A lot of drivers will be cruising on what we call the fast lane, and there are some people who will be driving very fast, and they'll expect somebody to be driving that slow on the fast lane and can run into big problems. I've seen it many times. I've seen vehicles that are lost control, trying to avoid running into the person who is cruising along the what we call the fast lane, and they go down in the median. Sometimes they run off on the left side and they break barriers. They end up in a lot of trouble, you know. And I think you should be mindful, especially in these times. You know, back in the days when I was a youth man, as I could say, there weren't so many vehicles on the road. You know, like after 9, 10 in the night, you can say, well, you have the highway for yourself. But that don't happen anymore with all the malls and all the new vehicles on the road. Like you said, the young people are into driving. They want to drive. Want to drive as soon as they get a job, they buy a vehicle. Whatever they're doing that can afford them to buy a vehicle, they will. But when you come out there, you know, there's this kind of need for speed. You have to prove something by driving like that. And we have a lot of problems on the roadway. So I think we should be mindful of what can happen, especially now where there are so much vehicles on the road now. And I think you should be always mindful of the regulations. Sometimes I see some people driving, and I'm wondering in my mind, did they do this regulation test? Because you know what happens. You know, they say, yeah, buy a license.
Yeah,
Because you see people doing some crazy things that you wonder, well, how come they do that when you know there are regulations to guide you as towards your attitude towards driving, you know?
I I believe that the whole process of getting one's driver's permit needs to be revised. You know, based on what I have been seeing from the years of driving a truck driver, I was a truck driver, heavy equipment driver for about 10 years. And all I can tell you, again, you would see some motorists, motor car drivers, small vehicle drivers doing some madness in front of these big trucks. And I can tell you on a daily basis, some of us who are truck drivers, we save people's lives all day long because if we don't take evasive actions, if we don't ease them up, if we don't drive for them, we will kill them with these heavy equipment. And yet you hear when you read social media or you go, for example, you go to the police station as a truck driver because I have had some incidents. I have never really had an accident in all my years of driving, and I've had my driver's permit from the time I reached 17, and I am now 56 years of age. So I've been driving for a long time, and and every time you encounter, you have to go to the police station, for example, as a truck driver, and you're involved in some incident, the police automatically thinks that the truck driver is wrong,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I've had a number of heated exchange with these police officers because, you know, on one occasion, the policeman, before even getting the evidence or the information regarding what had happened, he started to tell me, Truckman, are you always busy? Are you always busy? So I looked at him and I said, it wasn't the truckman that did it, you know, whoever was done to you wasn't the truckman. You
Hmm.
know, of course, you know, he's going to get ridiculously annoyed
Yeah.
and show his ignorance,
Hmm.
right? But truckmen seem to have a bad name, and some of them rightly so. They do real foolishness on the road, I can tell you,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the same thing that you were talking about, for example, going up the highway, you will see the truck driver fogging the right lane or what
Yes.
is called the fast lane, and
Yes.
they will not go onto the left lane. Now, I can
Hmm.
tell you there's a reason for that, because sometimes when they're on the left lane, when we are on the left lane, we will encounter someone who is driving ridiculously slow on the left lane.
Hmm.
And we would want to come out, the indicator is on for 5 miles going up the road, and no one will allow us to come out from behind that slow driver to just overtake and get back in, right? So what some of these truck drivers do is they stay on the right lane. Now here the next problem is, this is where the lawlessness steps in. A truck is not supposed to be driving above 65 kilometers per hour on the highway. The law for a vehicle below a certain weight, which would be referred to as a private motor vehicle, is 100 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
But the law for a heavy truck is 65 kilometers per hour.
Yes.
Now, which truck driver you ever observed driving at 65 kilometers per hour.
Especially those with containers.
Especially those heavy haulage ones.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right? And let me make it more interesting for you. Have you ever seen the police escorting a piece of extra heavy equipment coming down the highway?
Yeah.
The police encourages the truck that is carrying that extra heavy piece of equipment to break the law.
Mhm.
Right? Because the police has the route that is escorting that truck runs above the speed limit and have that big truck following them coming down the highway above the speed limit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when
Seen
we're talking about driving attitude and we're talking about lawlessness, it's not only the average citizen, the civilians that are behaving in a lawless manner. You know, many times heavy equipment passed me on the highway and I said, being escorted by police, I say, if those fellas have to mash a sudden brakes, everyone dead, including the police officers who escorted them.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Because you have a big 320 excavator sitting on a trailer and you running down the highway above 100 kilometers per hour. If you have to mash brakes, the chain and holding that is not going to hold it.
Exactly.
Right? The chains and binders, and I am telling you from someone who has the experience of driving these types of equipment. Right? So we have lawlessness on all fronts. Right? And we have a people problem and we have a problem with law enforcement. Right? People could say what they want. They open arms about, ransom and the government this and the licensing officers this and that and the next. But the problem I am seeing here is you focusing on giving me a ticket and demerit points for a little streak on my number plate where it's supposed to be white. They have a little streak of black and you call it a defective number plate. You're focusing on giving me tickets for tint, right? But there are so many other lawless acts that are being committed on the road that is clear and present danger to the road users. But you're not focusing on that. And sometimes I have to wonder, what we're really doing. What are we really doing? At the end of the day, we have laws in place for these things. Listen, I've been saying for a long time that this entire process of getting one's driver's permit, it has to be revised, right? This whole thing has to be changed. The US has a system where you take the test by computer. There is no human the regulations. There is no human intervention in that. You have to go and you have to answer the questions on the computer. And if you fail it, the computer doesn't present the very same questions the second time you're going to take it. You can take it as many times until you pass. But you don't get the same set of questions. How many years now, bro, that you know that this very same regulation is being used?
Yeah.
The very same regulation booklet is being used.
Yeah.
Right? And you see the common thing in Trinidad, you see people driving foolishly and you say, like, you buy a license now. And we all know that. We know that to a certain extent that is very true because the system is so corrupt now that you could pass a little grease and even though you fail, you pass.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And that's how ridiculous it is. Right? And it's not that, it makes me wonder. This thing is common knowledge. It is common knowledge that this corruption exists, right? Yet you're outside on the street terrorizing a man for a bulb that is not lighted, terrorizing a man for tint on his windows, but the corruption that is putting incompetent drivers on the road, you're not addressing that. So what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right? I believe that the entire system needs to be revised. I believe that it should be automated, and people. This is not a popular opinion, but I also believe that every driving permit in Trinidad and Tobago needs to be recalled, and those individuals need to take the regulation, take the driving test all over again, and do a defensive driving course, free of all manner of corruption before they are issued a driving permit again.
Yeah.
People are going to like it. People are going to hate me for that statement, but at the end of the day, I believe that that's the only way that we're going to address some of these issues with the ridiculous driving attitudes that we have on the roadway. Some people behave as though if their vehicle is a weapon and they're going to arrest it on you. You know, especially when you start driving these 4x4 vehicles now.
Yeah.
And that's another issue. Recently, we saw two young men flying off the road and falling down right river and dying on the southbound.
Yeah, that's in the Cipero area. Yeah.
In the Cipero River.
Yeah.
Now I can tell you from personal experience because I am a mechanic, right? And I fix these vehicles. And I have seen some of these fellas what they are doing to these vehicles, right? Taking the vehicles outside of the manufacturer's specification, interfering with the vehicle's ability to handle the road properly by lifting the vehicles outside of specification, by putting on tires on the vehicles that are not suitable for road use, right? And I can tell you that some of these vehicles, when they get up to a certain speed, they're very difficult to handle.
Yes.
Right? They're all over the place. I'm not asking, I'm telling you what I know for a fact as a mechanic. And they're doing these things for playing, you know? Some of them doing it to get woman, you know? A lot of young people doing these things. There are young fellas with jobs, some of them taking loan from the bank to buy these vehicles. As a mechanic, I can tell you, some of them taking loans and they can't afford to fix the vehicle when the vehicle breaks down because they're paying the loan in the bank just so that they could be driving a 4x4. Well, I think you might know this song where she want to AD wagon man, she wants a 4x4 man.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is a reality to a lot of these young fellas that are driving on the road. Right? And these things result in accidents. And on top of that, a lot of them has very bad attitude. Very bad attitude. Not just their driving attitude, their attitudes as human beings. You know, when we driving on the road, it seems like in a hostile environment. Everybody wants to be ahead. Everybody busy. Nobody wants to be courteous. You know, we were talking about the speed on the highway. What about the attitude on a roundabout? You know, a lot of people in this country do not know how to use a roundabout.
I know.
Go ahead.
I see it all the time, all the time. The regulations, like I said, you know that they didn't go through the regulations or they're not accurate with the regulations because you're supposed to give way to anybody who's entering the roundabout. You give way to those who are coming right from the right. Well, you don't see that. People just enter the roundabout. Where overtaking is concerned too. There's especially if there's some traffic on the road. I mean, you see some people actually forcing you to allow them into the lane. You know, they're not waiting for you to say, well, okay, let me see if I can ease back a little bit and allow them into the lane. They will drive straight in front of you, put on the indicator or whatever, and just drive into the lane when they're merging and stuff. You know, you see those kind of crazy things happening. People coming out on minor roads, coming onto the major roads, you know, just like that, you know. Nobody has respect for that. But the roundabout issue is something that I see all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time.
And a lot of the behavior, coming from the Fathers Association,
Mm-hmm.
I always tie all these things back into parenting.
Hmm.
The reality is that we have a society with a lot of failed parenting products
Hmm.
out there. Because if people were brought up properly, if people were trained at home properly to be courteous to other people, some of these driving attitudes that we observe on the roadway would not be. These things would not be. A lot of times I would encounter things on the road and I would say, I don't blame that person, I blame the parent. Because
Hmm.
the reality is they have no training.
Yeah.
Some of the attitudes that causes the behavior on the roadway is as a result of the lack of training at home.
Hmm.
And so we delve into a deeper crisis, into a deeper problem. How do we fix these things in and Tobago?
Hmm.
There's a statement that says, "Fix me first."
Yes. Yes.
Fix me first. We can start by looking at ourselves.
Hmm.
We can start by looking at our own individual attitudes and characteristics, how we deal with people, how we respond to things, right? At the end of the day, we all have to use the road. And the road can be a very safe place, with the death of this young lady recently, I see a lot of
Yes.
people talking about it was an accident and it was an accident. If you do the research anywhere you look, you will see that accidents don't just happen, they are caused.
Yes.
That is the reality, that the science says that,
Hmm.
right? There's no such thing as an accident that just happened. Accidents are caused
Yeah.
by certain variables, whether it be incompetence, whether it be selfishness, whether it be foolishness, whatever it is,
Hmm.
accidents are caused.
Yeah.
So 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 when we have for 2024, we already have 70 people dead on the road, and that's not counting the recent deaths, right?
Hmm.
That's the last time that the statistics were taken. 70 people were dead. 69 of them were adults. When we have those sorts of statistics, it means that um, the human element is responsible for it.
Hmm.
I have been at traffic lights. I have learned, when we were going to school, they taught us look left, look right, and look left again.
Mm-hmm.
I do that when driving now.
Of course. To
I
be.
have to do that when I am driving. Imagine
Yes.
I am at that traffic light and I have the green, I have the right of way to go,
Hmm.
and I have to look left, look right, and look left again
Yes.
because there is some fool who is barreling down through the red light when he or she gets the red light.
Hmm.
I have seen that the light, I get the green, and I delay at the light to pull off. The people in the back are blowing me.
Hmm.
It's like, that's another attitude, another characteristic we encounter on the road, right?
Yeah.
It's like you as the people who are behind you, they park with their hands on their horn. And as soon as the light turns green, they're blowing you to go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you are at the front of the line and you are in danger because if you decide as soon as that light hits green, you're going to mash that accelerator, you could very well be cleared away in that intersection.
Yes. Yes.
Because I have seen it happen where I have delayed at the light and somebody barreled through the red light on the other side.
Hmm.
Right? And that's what we're dealing. That is when we talk about driving attitude, that is one of the things that we're dealing with on the roadway. You know, these things are not, we're not fabricating, I'm not fabricating these things, I'm not imagining or inventing these things. These are the conditions that exist on the road. I mean, the government, the Ministry of Works is trying to curb the incidents of accident and death on the road. But like I said, in my view, the focus is on the wrong things. And you know, if it is an income generation drive, which I believe that it is in a lot of instances, you know, the thing is that they could make so much more money applying, enforcing the law when it comes to the unlawful acts that are being committed by drivers.
Yes.
I mean, there's one thing, we always talk about traffic cameras and automated ticketing system and how much millions or whatever was spent on these things, and where is it? Nothing happening.
I tell you.
We still have a man standing up on the side of the road with a laser.
Yeah. Yes, it's happening now.
So we need to change our attitude when it comes to driving. We need to change our attitude. We need to look out for each other out there. Right? You know, I tell you, as a mechanic, a lot of times truckers would come to me and they would say, I need you to take out the governor on my truck. The truck only doing 90 kilometers per hour. And I said, no. I would say, no, I'm not doing it.
Right.
I would tell them, no, I am not doing it. I said, if you go and kill somebody on the road, then their blood will be on my hands because I am the one who pick up the governor.
Yes, right? Yes.
There are some trucking companies or some truck drivers who would bring their truck to repair and they have bad braking system and they will say, well, fix that, but leave that. I said, no, I'm not doing that. And you know what I got into the habit of doing? I got into the habit of writing a defect report and mailing it to them, mailing it to the company, right? Yeah. And I would tell the customer, if you make me fix these things and you do not fix everything that needs to be fixed on the truck, and this truck is involved in an accident where it distresses somebody or takes somebody's life, I will submit this report to the authorities. Right? Now, for me, that has to do with integrity. You know why? I have children on the road, right? And I would not do to someone else what I don't want from my own children. So if I put a defective piece of equipment on the road and it takes someone else's life, I don't want that. Because I don't want a defective piece of equipment to take my children's life.
That's right.
You know? But the thing about it is we are not a society that thinks like that. You know, people would hear me talk this and they would say, well, something wrong with you. You know? For a lot of people, it's about making money. For me, it's about integrity. For me, it's about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so this is one of the things that is lacking with a lot of people in this country. It's selfishness. It's all about self. What do I get out of it? You know, I need to get from point A to point B, and I don't care who gets in my way. While doing so, I just need to get there. You know, look, we had a man die on the highway some months ago because his vehicle was struck from behind. You know, man innocently lost his life. The man who struck him and took his life is out and about, normal, free.
Yes.
And we have laws in this country that, you know, when I go to the police station, on one occasion I went to the police station, I am on the Gretchen Castle roundabout, and I am going straight onto the Revelant Road.
Yeah.
This guy pulls up on the left-hand side of me, So I'm saying to myself, well, he's going down to Cuba,
Yeah.
right? Because he's on the left hand side of me to go onto the to go onto the bridge.
Yeah.
I am on the middle lane or the inner lane to go with the inner lane, which is going to go straight or right with a big truck and a trailer. You know this man is driving a flatbed truck. You know this man turns left in front of the big truck. Sorry, he turns right. He turns right in front of the big truck to go California.
Yes.
Right?
Madness.
Madness, and then when I go to the police station, the police is talking about truckman, only truckman always busy. And truckman, you're wrong. I said, listen to me. I did not come here for your opinion. I have a valid driver's permit and I have a valid insurance policy, and the law requires that when there's an incident or an accident, that I make a report. I am here to make a report. Please take my report. The man started cuss, big police officer started cuss. I said, so why you behaving so? Right? So the moral of the story now is that he's telling the constable, charge him, make sure you charge him. Charge him for what?
Yes.
Right. But the law says, this is the law, that when you are involved in an accident or a vehicle-related accident or anything involving your vehicle on the road, it gives you a notice that you can be charged and prosecuted.
Yes.
That is the law, not so?
Yes, of course.
So what's happening in this country? We see so many road traffic violations. We see people bouncing people and causing their death, and we're not hearing about anybody being charged with anything. So what? The law is lawless as well.
Exactly. In that particular incident, where the guy hit the guy from behind, the guy lost control of the vehicle. The vehicle went off the road. The guy died, and the driver didn't stop at all. I mean, he just continued his merry way until the police intervened and interrogated him and all of that. And yet still, he's back out. You know what I mean? And he is a member of the security. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So as you are saying, and there are times too when I think they overdo it. North south, when there's real traffic on the north south highway, listen, it's bumper to bumper, sometimes from the lighthouse to Gasparillo. Sometimes it's like that. And they would be coming through. I don't know if it's in an emergency they're on. I don't know. But they will turn on their sirens and actually force people off the road to get where they want to go. Now, I know it's the police. I know we have to clear the road and give them their way. But sometimes there's nowhere to go.
Yes.
If you go too much to the left, you'll jam onto pavements, or you'll jam onto the barriers, or you could run off the road in the drains that are right there, because a lot of people where the drains are right at the edge of the road, and they will be coming through. They know the route, they know the road, and they would still be coming through blaring sirens, and you are forcing these people. And another thing about the road users, there are a lot of experienced drivers, okay? There are a lot of drivers who we'll call novices. There are lots of drivers who like apprentices. And there are lots of drivers who have no driving permits. So on the roadway now, let's say the police are coming through blaring, especially, I'm not saying that women, there are lots of very good women drivers. I'm not saying anything about that. But there are some women who will panic.
Yes.
That panic mode will set in.
True. That's true.
And create a whole set of bacchanal on the highway there, And there are times when they are driving, you can see and observe for yourself that this person could go into panic mode anytime. Let go steering wheel, hold their head, squeal, and lose control of the vehicle. So I think when these law enforcement officers are coming through, I mean, we hear the siren, yes, clear the way, yes, but I think the way they come through sometimes they can create more problems along the way. Like whoever crash like like in the movies, you see cars crashing and the police going their way, the police bouncing people out of the road. As a matter of fact, I had a video on my phone where some police were chasing some people who broke the law, and they were like bouncing people vehicles out of the way to get to the people who committed whatever they did negatively or criminal or whatever. And I often wonder, well, how does that work out? Is there compensation for that? Is there some sort of redress when these law enforcement officers are in hot pursuit and there's a high chase, and or they're just on some mission and they have blaring sirens and things happen within gridlock traffic like that. I wonder how that pans out. I've never heard about somebody being compensated for that.
People are not compensated in those situations.
Hmm.
There is no compensation in those situations.
My
But
God.
I want to say, we're talking about this issue, and I want to say, as a single father,
Mm-hmm.
as a truck driver, a road user, a motorcyclist, some of us need to come back home.
Hmm.
Trinidad and Tobago. When I was, my children are grown now and, they can take care of themselves. But there was a time in my life when my children had no one else but me.
Hmm.
Absolutely no one else but me. And I know what it feels like to be out there, excuse me, and on the road and having to take every precaution and make every effort to keep myself safe and to keep others safe on the road so that I could come back home to my children at the end of the day.
Yes.
I'm sure that and today I want you to know that there are also single parents out there, both mothers and fathers, who we need to get back home at the end of the day because we are all that our children have, and some of us have young children.
Hmm.
Some of us, our children, they have no one else. They have no plan B, no other option but the single parent that they have taken care of them right now.
Hmm.
And so we need to think about these things when we are, demonstrating these sorts of negative attitude while driving and endangering other people's lives. I mean, even some of these not-so taxi drivers, I mean, I'm sure that you can attest to the behavior of these motor taxi drivers on the road when they get their taxi fill. I mean, it is anything that goes for them to get from north to south or from south to north because money is the name of the game at the end of the day. And even as passengers in vehicles that we're traveling in, we need to be able to stand up for ourselves and say to the drivers, listen, if you can't drive within the speed limit, then you need to drop me off where you pick me up, because I will not be traveling. If we allow these infractions of the law to take place and we say nothing, then it will only continue. We are a part of the unlawful behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I look at so many things that happen on the roadway, and sometimes you wonder, you know, if these people are within the right way of thinking, being on the road. Sometimes you look at road rage. Sometimes road rage you can get out of hand. I've seen guys bouncing one another's cars by cursing and I've seen all of that on the road. So I don't know. Like you said, what can we do to address situations and behavioral patterns like that? I just don't know. I tried my best to be safe. I try my best to get from point A to point B without creating any kind of weird kind of driving that will cause mishaps. I mean, it cannot be perfect. Sometimes there are blind spots that you don't see and all of that. But I think once you are within control, um, you can save yourself from a lot of incidents and occurrences that you have no real control of. You see people who will get real upset with you if you should just like I said, there are blind spots. Sometimes you don't see that vehicle at all. It's right on the right side of you, on the left side of you, but it's in a blind spot, and no matter how you shift your rearview mirror, those wing mirrors, you don't see them. It's a blind spot. And you might pull to the left or pull to the right unknowing. And the attitude of those drivers, just you want to know, oh my God, they might say, oh, I'm sorry, partner, I didn't see you there, whatever. They don't want to hear that. And a lot of things happen because of that. So we have to have a kind of mindset where we can tolerate certain stuff. And there are some where you just have to defend yourself because sometimes you have to accept a wrong in like at roundabouts, traffic lights too. Like you said, the driver behind you will be honking their horn. And because it had happened to me when there was the old Europe intersection and I was like heading to Arima, there was a van to my right. We are both heading to Arima. And we had green, but I didn't see the panel van move. So I said, I wonder why he isn't moving. It's because a guy came from that Kunupia district side there, that side that comes onto the Southern Main Road to cross the highway before it got they put up the interchange. And I said, my God, if I had only driven off, I would have been a dead man because the speed that guy broke the traffic light with. But the panel ban was blocking my way, my vision. As I was depending on him to move first. I said, let him move first, and then yes, it's safe to go across. But I stayed there and I observed why the panel van did not move because the man saw that ignorant driver breaking the light coming. And back in those days, it took a while to cross from where the K-Donna, that area, not the K-Donna, that area that has this there's I think it's some kind of factory or warehouse or something there. Back in those days, those housing areas and things there. And you had to be seeing from that distance that the light is on red. So you stop before you reach the intersection. But this guy came straight across. I was so happy I didn't move because I would not have been here today. The speed he came through that light, I would have not been here today. Because the guy with the panel van, well, he was like my shield. you know. So
I have seen some men running. They have seen some men running these red lights, and I wonder, is it that they deliberately, consciously make a decision to run these lights, or is it that they're not seeing the light, or is it that they're mentally incapacitated in some way that they run the light? I just don't know because it is some of the most ridiculous things that you will witness.
Yes, it's so true. Yeah.
And then there's something else. We are living in a society. A lot of people are highly stressed, very tense.
Yes.
A lot of people have problems in their homes. Problems on their jobs, and a lot of people's lives are highly stressed and problematic. And we know, we have to admit that obviously that sort of thing affects people's behavior and attitude and characteristics on the roadway. Road rage, for example, is as a result of that sort of highly stressed mental aptitude. And so we make, like you would have said earlier on, my style of driving now is I just take a laid back approach.
Yeah.
right? If you busy and you're riding my bumper, I pull aside, put on my indicator, pull aside, and I'll let you go.
Yes.
Right? If
Yes.
I'm on the highway and you're blinking up your lights behind me, I look for the best way that I could facilitate you passing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I let them go because I believe in staying away from the crowd,
Hmm.
right? Because the crowd is where the accident is going to take place. You know, I had an accident. Sorry, an incident happened just when you leave the technical flyover heading north, and that stretch of road over there. You
Hmm.
know, this taxi, seven-seater taxi man, loaded with passengers, right? I
Hmm.
am on the left lane, which is obviously the slow lane, right? There's a vehicle that is on the right lane that is driving slow.
Hmm.
So I am going up alongside the people that is on the right lane. And this taxi driver comes behind me on the left lane and he's flashing his lights. So I am like, I am on the slow lane. He ain't supposed to be
That's right.
flashing the lights behind
No.
me.
No, that's
He's
true.
supposed to flash his light behind the man on the right lane,
That's right.
right? So I
Hmm.
continue to drive at the same pace that I am driving on the left lane, and that
Yes.
man is driving on the right lane, blocking the right lane,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know
Mm-hmm.
when this taxi man with the seven-seater gets the opportunity to pass that man, you know what he does?
Hmm.
He comes and pulls in front of me, almost hitting me like if he intended to run me off the road. So
Hmm.
he was so ticked off that I did not speed up on the left lane
Yeah, so
to
he can pass.
facilitate him. So he took revenge,
Yes.
right?
It's,
And
it's
he's taking revenge with seven passengers in the vehicle,
hmm. I tell
right?
you. Yeah.
That's the kind of attitude that we're dealing with on the road.
Hmm.
Right? And that's what I'm saying. We need greater enforcement of the law when it comes to these things, right? Because those kinds of traffic violation could put a whole lot of money in the government pocket. And I hope somebody who is in a position to do something actually hears my suggestion, right? Because the reality is, you ain't gonna make the kind of money, you ain't gonna hit no budget deficit. You ain't gonna touch that budget deficit with charging people for tint and number plate and bulbs. But you see,
Hmm.
speeding and other traffic violation, you could make some money there.
Yeah.
And I've been saying it for a long time because a lot of road users are breaking the law. They're not driving within the speed limit.
Hmm. Driving under the influence too is something else too, especially when it comes to the weekends. Sometimes even during the week, especially during vacation time. Where I live down south, there are facilities that accommodate, fun lovers, like the Clifton Hill Beach Resort, and there are other different areas around Trinidad and Tobago where you'd find these kind of resorts. And you'll find these excursion buses going down there. You'll find people who are going with their private vehicles, and you know um the trunk will be loaded with stuff and thing, and on leaving, you don't know who is drunk, you don't know
Mm-hmm.
too much, you don't know. And then drunk and tiredness, it's a very deadly mixture for being on the road. There are some people that go on the beach, they go swimming, they're drinking, they might play football, they might play cricket or whatever, and they had some alcohol too, and then they hit the road. There are times when at one time when I did the morning shows, and or anytime I'm heading to Port of Spain around those festive times and things, I would be seeing some drivers who are actually sleeping on the road, try to hold up, who you see swerving from left to right and thing. So I think like family members also, just like passengers in a vehicle, should stand up and say, well, listen now. I don't think you're able to drive. If there are no drivers on board to assist, so let's pull aside and see if we can take a rest. But these days, that too is very uh
Dangerous.
yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah,
The
pulling aside the risk is dangerous.
Yeah, that is not like before, you know.
Mhm. But let's explore that aspect of that. The alcoholism and the use of marijuana. I mean, they have legalized the use of marijuana. So they're
Yeah.
not only driving under the influence of alcohol, they're driving under the influence of ganja as well. You know,
Yes, yes, yes,
They-
yes.
but but let's look at the reality of this. Ask yourself, how much is there available by way of recreation for the citizens of this country?
Hmm.
We started out by talking about the lack of facilities for the young people to express themselves in terms of a raceway,
Yeah.
a drag racing
Sure.
facility
Yeah.
or some sort of raceway. Even the motorcyclists that are driving at ridiculous speeds on the road. I believe if we have a raceway where a man could go and experience the speed over there, he will not be on the road behaving
Hmm.
like that. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's just my point of view. Because
Hmm.
I mean, I have always had a fast car. Since I was 18 years old, I've had a fast car.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe some people will be hearing me and saying, well, Grant, you said drive hard. And the
Hmm.
reality is just what yesterday I was saying to my son. I used to drive fast, but I never drove in a ridiculous manner. I
Right.
never drove in an irresponsible manner. You
Yeah.
know, and
Hmm.
even though my car was highly modified and it was properly built and I knew what it could do and I drove it within the limits of what it could do, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I took my time and gained my experience. But when we talk about what does this country have to offer by way of recreation, what is on a weekend? What do families have available to them to do? Right? Going to the beach is an unsafe thing to a certain extent. People go to the beach, but they have to go in large numbers. Once you go in large numbers, alcohol involved.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Alcohol and food involved. You see people stopping on the side of the road and popping the trunk and hitting one before they hit the road.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you've seen that many times.
Well,
Right?
I went out with some people who did that also, but I am also as a driver. I used to be concerned about that. I say, well, they're stopping so much times along the roadway. I do like that, but I can't say anything because everybody is bunched with that vibe. But I
Yeah.
am always concerned about that. You see, stopping along the roadway to pop your trunk and take one and think. I don't know how that has been allowed. I've been involved in limes and thing already that it happened, you know. And I will be saying, wow, I hope they're not staying here too long. I hope they try.
Mhm.
You worried because you know what can happen. You
Mhm.
know what can happen. So
Yeah.
when we get to the destination, I'll be happy because everything will come out there and they'll have a time. And even on returning, it happens again.
Yes, of course. The
As
drinking
well
going and
here.
the drinking coming.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean I've been part of that. I don't understand as though I'm all that sainty and thing where that is concerned, but that always bothered me. You know. I I did not like stopping along the roadways to pop a trunk and to have a drink and to continue. I think that I don't see the sense in that. And it always worried me. And I used to be praying. I hope they take the thing quick and let's go. You know,
But it is unlawful. It is unlawful because by the time you stop 2 or 3 times
Mhm.
and take one, you are above the limit that is allowed.
That's right. That's right.
So
That's
that's an unlawful activity that is taking place there. You're driving under the influence, and this is what I'm saying.
yes.
And these people will pop the trunk at the side of the road to take one, and the police will pass by and
Yeah.
see them there and
Yeah.
not stop to investigate that.
Yes, it's so true. Sometimes the police stop to have a drink too.
Yeah, the police stop to take them too.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of
Mhm.
unlawful behavior that is taking place.
Yes, 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 yes,
Right? That
yes.
is facilitating the carnage on the nation's roadway.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Even as a motorcyclist, right? You know, I rode with a couple groups from
Yeah.
time to time. And when you're riding, every 2 or 3 shop, these fellas or every village you cross over into, these fellas have to stop by a rum shop and take a beer.
Yeah.
I stop that. Because you enjoying my life when you are not influenced. I not drinking. I might drink a malt. I might drink a coke or something, or just sip my
Yes.
water. I love my water, right?
Yes.
But
Mhm.
you drinking and riding, that is not no for me. The first day I got on a motorcycle, I made some rules for myself. Don't mix drugs and riding, don't mix alcohol and riding, and don't mix woman and riding.
Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
I have those rules for myself. I ride so now I ride alone. I don't ride with nobody.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because, we actually have a motorcycle called the Toxic Crew.
The toxic crew.
The Toxic Crew because they drinking and riding.
Right, 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 right. And you see some real accidents that you could hardly look at when you see anything happen to them.
And
Because
this is the attitude that when we're talking about the attitude, driving attitude, this is the attitude of the people, right? Irresponsible, you know,
hmm
selfish, irresponsible attitudes. And I am one who believes that, when you give people the opportunity to do the right thing by grace and they cannot do it, then you have to use the law,
hmm.
right? So when everybody complaining about the law this and the law this, I have no problem. I fully support the law 100% and
Hmm.
whatever they do to curb lawlessness. The unfortunate thing about that though is that those that are supposed to enforce the law are also lawless,
Yes, yes.
right?
Hmm.
So, because many times I've seen we're making a cook here, we're making a cook there, alcohol involved. I don't drink, but there are people who dealing up with the alcohol. You see the police pull up, four
Hmm.
or five of them jump out,
Hmm.
right? They come to eat duck and roti and drink alcohol and then go back to work.
Yeah.
And this is the reality, Who don't like it?
Yes. It is.
I can't talk anything else but what I have seen and what I have heard.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So how do we fix it when those that are supposed to enforce the law to curb the lawlessness are also lawless themselves?
Yeah. Yeah. I am. Remember, there were times too when I had just gotten my driver's permit. I got my driver's permit at a very young age too, and you're happy that you have a driver's permit at that young age. And I remember we going to Lime and stuff, and I did drank too much. There were a couple of times when I got home, I was asking myself, well, how you did that, boy? you know, After I thought, I said, you see, that I am not doing that again. And I just cut that completely out, especially now. Back in those days, it was a different ball game. Like I said, after a certain hour at night, the streets would be dead, and you heading home, you're just hoping you're praying to reach home. When you get home, you say, "Phew, at least I got home." Now it's a different ball game because it's like 24/7 vehicles are on the road, and the vehicles are faster now. They are lighter now. They are more modified now and all of that. So I don't think it's worth the while taking a chance at no time at all, drinking and driving, or being intoxicated and driving. I think that should hold the biggest of all penalties, drinking and driving, because now it's a different ball game at this time of our experiences along the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
my friend is back with me here. Yeah. So back in those days, like I said, was a different cup of tea out there. After 6, after 7, you'd see the roads and all about it's quiet now. And now it's a different. It's the place is more. It's modernized in all aspects, and And we have social media and all kind of different devices now that can help you along the way. There are maps, there are directions, there are all kind of stuff now that can keep you on track, and you are quite aware of what's happening on the roadway. I'm in chats that are designed for the roads too, where they tell you if the traffic is backing up here, or if there's an accident here, or whatever. So you're more guided now than before. But yet
Mm-hmm.
still you're seeing carnage on the road, you're seeing, malpractices, you're seeing people breaking the laws, and like I said, um the road rage. Sometimes you don't have to do somebody, give them a bad drive or anything, you just have to be in their way.
Mm-hmm.
They will exercise that road rage, and you wonder sometimes, well, what in the world is happening here?
It's as though as if we are all enemies.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah. It's as though as if we are all enemies and we're fighting a war.
yes. It's so true. It's so true. Mhm.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous now. And you know the thing about it, as you spoke about modernization and the fact that we have so much more information on our fingertips, at our fingertips, than we did in the old days. Yet you see people repeating the same mistakes,
Mhm.
repeating the same errors, the same lawless attitude. I mean, you would see, for example, that the man was speeding and he killed the young woman by when he crashed the vehicle into a light pole. Yet
Yeah.
tomorrow, another young man will pick up a car and
Mhm.
go speeding in the same manner.
Yes. Yes.
And the information is there. The information is all over at everyone's fingertips. And
Mhm.
if you see some of the comments on those posts relative to that young lady dying, and
Yeah.
you see people's callous attitude towards it, David. I mean, it's mind blowing. I am asking myself, are we living in a human world anymore? Are we living in a human community anymore?
Hmm.
Because the insensitivity is so dread.
Yeah.
You know, the lack of value of human life is
Mhm.
so bad.
Yeah.
You know, you see people, for example, this thing on social media, you will see somebody went up to Lavantil or to Mova or wherever to buy a car and they got robbed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And 2 days later, you see somebody else going up to buy a cell phone and they got robbed.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, you see somebody going with 50,000 to buy a car and they get robbed. Or you
Yes.
see a man going to sell a car and he get robbed.
Yes.
And I'm like, the information is there. What it is going on? Has the population been dumbed down to such an extent that information has no value or impact on us anymore?
Hmm. That is so true. That is so true. That is so true. And it keeps happening all the time. All the time.
All the time.
Every day you'd read about it. Every single day. You hear people going to sell or to buy and getting robbed. you know. So I don't know. I am.
And and we're talking about lawless breaking the law when it comes to driving. We're talking about driving attitude on the roadway, and
Mhm.
every day we see the consequences of it on social media, and yet it continues.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So this is why I'm asking the question: has the population become so dumb that information has no impact on the population anymore?
yeah. That incident with where the young lady died. I mean, I had footage of that on my phone also, and I keep
Mm-hmm.
asking myself, well, like this is what I feel. And that's the first thing went to my mind. This man was
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that's in the normal roads that he's driving. So, but I traveling and traversing from north to south, I tell you, I see that on many occasions. Even these guys with these, I call them trucks, these 4x4 and thing. And
Yes.
I'm not a scientist, but I know about the dynamics of air movements and thing, and the height of these vehicles, I don't think they should be going at that speed. The amount of air is passing under these vehicles at that kind of speed. Anything can happen. And when you look at most of the accidents, sometimes are these same 4x4s, because they lose control. I think too much air is under the vehicle to be going at that speed. I don't think the balance will be controllable in case you need to use some sort of a driving technique to save crashing or running off the road. So a lot of them, I see a lot of them off the road, a lot of them involved in accidents. And I know the aerodynamics that is under the vehicle. If your vehicle is low, you might stand a chance of bringing the vehicle to under control in those instances, and most of the time, I tend to say, well, why are they driving that so fast? They run past everybody. I say, well, these 4x4s are under the same regulation as trucks. They too should be that fast, but they're going all over 140 sometimes. These guys running, Because if I'm running at 100, you pass me and disappears in about 2 minutes. I know you're not running at 110, neither 120, neither 130. You have to be up by 140,
Yeah.
And I think they overdo it. They have this new set of headlights that are selling now because I've been heading to south. I'm on the right lane. The traffic is all backed up. And there might be somebody who's driving slow up front, and you just find yourself locked down in the right lane because there are a lot of traffic on the left lane too. And these trucks will come up behind you. And the lights, I don't think the driver is blinking the lights. I think that's the design of the lights, that they're like changing colors. So many times I say, well, where this man want me to go? The left side is locked down. And you come up with bright lights behind me, the vehicle is already higher than me because I have a car, and you have this truck. So the bright lights are coming straight to my rear windshield, onto my wing mirrors and everything. Brilliant. But it's flicking, so you can see it's a design light. I don't think, because it's not like when you play with high beam and low beam. You must see where the person is pressing. You, as a driver, you would know. But it seems like this one is so designed that when it gets close to a vehicle, it starts to behave like that. Like it's a design of the bulb settings or something. That irritates me because it blinds me in a sense. It's so bright.
Do you know that all those things are illegal? If you go back to the regulations, you go back to the highway code, it's all the laws that governs lights at the front of your vehicle and at the rear of your vehicle, it's all there. And so again, it comes down to enforcement. A lot of the lights that are being put on vehicles are illegal. They're not supposed to be there. People are supposed to be getting charged for those things. Right? And do you know that it is the intent of a lot of the 4x4 owners to have their vehicle look intimidating, behave intimidating. So you see how you are intimidated by the vehicle behind you with its lights flashing and blasting through your rear glass onto your rear view mirrors and wing glass and all of that. That's the intention. They get the kicks off of those things, and that's the young generation that we are dealing with, right? Now the thing about it is, with vehicles, when you modify a vehicle and you take it outside of the manufacturer's specification, depending on which direction you go in, you are supposed to slow down the speed. So the vehicle was designed with a center point of gravity. You change that, you lift the vehicle. The vehicle was designed to go at 140 or 200 kilometers per hour. You're no longer supposed to be driving it at that because you interfered with the manufacturer's specification. Right? And that's what we were talking about. When the vehicle is now lifted, the airflow gets under the vehicle instead of over the vehicle. You have a tire that is 10 inches wide when the original tire for the vehicle is supposed to be 5 inches wide. You're
Yeah.
creating wind resistance. You
Hmm.
have a vehicle that when the steering ends are supposed to be parallel to the steering rack or the steering box. And when you lift the vehicle, the steering ends are now at 45 degrees
Hmm.
from the steering rack or the steering box.
Yeah.
It changes the ability of the vehicle to handle properly, right?
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
fools who are doing these things, they don't know the physics or the dynamics behind the mechanics of the vehicle. All they want to do is look good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All they want to do is pimp it out.
I have a call on the line, Wendell. Good afternoon, caller.
That's not
Hi, how you going, my brother?
my someone to the good gentleman. Sorry, I have a speech moment here. I just want to talk to a couple of
Your audio is terrible.
I'm not hearing a thing he's saying.
Okay, okay. Try me back. Try calling me back. Yeah, I mean, I see that all the time in the Wendell because I tell you, I traverse north, south, Monday to Friday, sometimes Sunday to Sunday, and sometimes I wonder as well, sometimes there's a lot of traffic, and these guys, they are seeing solid red lights, especially at night time. You're seeing solid red lights, which means that the traffic is standing up, or everybody has their feet on the brake pedal, so you're seeing solid red lights. But you are coming up behind with these lights that are designed to be flickering, kind of left to right, right to left, kind of. It's not flickering like as though somebody is using it manually. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let me see. My friend is back on the line. Good afternoon again, brother.
Hey, my man, you got me this time?
Yes.
Much better?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I guess I was on my Obama phone when you got me. Anyway, hey, yeah, good afternoon, Daddy Mac.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Daddy Mac, and good afternoon to the good gentleman who was just speaking there. You
Yeah.
guys are now pulling out of my garage here, and you guys just spoke of situation as a motorist myself. A quick experience I'll give you.
Mhm.
Is that the good gentleman I spoke to a couple of weeks ago when I called you?
Yeah, no, this is Wendell. You probably spoke to Rondell at that time, but this is Wendell Grant. He's with me today.
Oh, and Mr. Grant in what capacity? Is he
Right.
an attorney or something like that?
No. They're all representatives of the Fathers Association.
Director of the single fathers. Yeah. Fathers.
Hey, good. Hey, I want to tell the experience I had when I lived in the crumbling Empire State of New York, when I was in the biotech industry, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I had to work like, graveyard shifts and stuff,
Mhm.
depending on what the pharmaceutical industry demands put on us, right?
Mhm.
So anyway, and on my way to work, I, again, it's, late in the night, like 11:30, stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
And as Wendell just mentioned there, I had an idiot, and I know he's a gentleman. I'm a wharf rat, so I will say it. Idiots who are licensed to sit behind steering wheels, right? And I had this idiot who was on one of those Hilux, and not just any regular, pickup truck. You know, the ones with the wheels bigger than the height of your SUV sometimes,
Yes.
and they're up in the air almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he had his lights. He was behind me,
Hmm.
and his lights were so bright that through my rearview mirror, I just, even if I was not looking at my rearview mirror, the reflection was so so horrible that look, I could have at least put aside. See what I'm saying? But because, well, I wasn't too far from my destination on the long stretch and so on, but it was so bright, it was definitely blinding. And if I had more time, I'd have get behind the SOB, okay, and I'd have called 911, right? And he's just lucky that I was on my way to work, because yes, it is illegal, and these idiots know that, but they get a kick, that, hey, I let you pull to the side. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, and of course, yeah, and I think I was carrying with me at the time. So as you know, as we say in the Caribbean, when Babylon turn up and they ask a question, just by chance he happened to ask me, "Are you carrying a license firearm?" Then I will be the bad guy. But I'm
Yes.
sure an idiot like him was carrying. I'm sure somebody like that, with the description I gave you, I'm sure he was carrying too. You know,
Yes.
but
Yes.
maybe God had it in a way that I didn't, had the state of mind to do what I wanted to do. But because of I had to be punctual and so on, and I had a person engagement, work-wise and stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't pull aside. I held my ground, kept trying to steer forward look forward as much as possible. And he could have overtaken me all the time,
Yes.
and he didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So as I say, we have idiots like that, and idiots like that, unfortunately, also vote. Anyway, yeah. So that's that's yeah. I mourn for tomorrow. I mourn for tomorrow. But anyway, so yeah. But that was my experience, with that. But as I said, I was in, the crumbling Empire State in New York, and that's why I deliberately saying that without going too much into that. But so I know that the criminals, if you think the criminals in Trinidad have more rights than you, hey, I tell you what, boy, hey, they're on vacation when they go to jail over here, Anyway, guys, have a good topic. I'm listening to you while I'm driving here, and thanks again. God bless. Okay.
Okay,
Cheers.
my good friend. Be safe out
Yes,
there.
sir.
Yeah, that's my friend in New York. But it happens all the time. You see it happening, and the kind of intimidation can, I mean, like you, Wendell, or like even myself. I might not be a driver like you with all those different types of drivers permits, but I've been out there since I was a youth man. I learned to drive at a very very young age, and I'm very experienced out there. But I think about the people who are novices, like I said, the people who are apprentices, and there are some people out there who just got their license and are willing to go through the experiences. Because I always tell people, when you get your driver's permit and you hit the road, your driving test and your mentorship goes into effect as of that day, when you are legally allowed to go onto the road. Because what your driving school or your tutor never taught you, you will learn by way of experiences on the roadway. So there are some people who are so intimidating. They put these people in problems with the Wendell, because sometimes you see women panicking. You see some people don't know if to pull right or to pull left. Sometimes they pull right and they end up in the mess. Sometimes they pull left and they end up in the mess also. So I think we are appealing to drivers to be a little more considerate, and and proceed with a sort of caution, even though you're driving fast. Because I mean, there's driving fast and there's driving recklessly.
Okay.
Yeah, and that goes too for the people with emergency vehicles. Not because you have the right to drive like that, to turn on your siren blaring and thing. Most of them, they know the roadways, because to be a driver of an emergency vehicle or a transport vehicle, these delivery trucks and thing, you must have a fair idea of the directions of any part of the island that they put you to work. So I think you should understand, okay, on this piece of road here, or this length of roadway here, we have a pavement here. We have a ditch here. We have barriers here. So I think some sort of consideration should be applied when they too are trying to get ahead with their business. You know, I've seen me coming from Arima one time, and there's this police vehicle behind me, siren like that, heavy traffic, 3 lanes of bumper to bumper gridlock traffic, and his siren is blaring. So I try my best to encourage the guy on my left to go more left, so that we can give him some space between me and the guy in the next right lane. So he got through there. I was going to going up into Amira Road to go to a fueling station, a gas station. And lo and
Mm-hmm.
behold, that same vehicle was by a playway booth.
Mm-hmm.
So all that speed and intimidation, I had to call it in that instance because it wasn't an emergency. This man was trying to reach in time to go play with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so I think they too, like you said, are part of the law breaking posse that is up
No,
there.
that's it.
Yeah, real lawless. How could you do that? Sometimes they just don't want to be in the traffic. They turn on their sirens and they push people aside. Sometimes I wonder about the people who are now getting accustomed to driving on the roads. There are some women who I tell you they panic easily. You see it by their attitude of driving. They drive very slow. And they're careful. You see their both hands on the wheel and they are so focused to the front, anything will make them panic. So I think people should try to realize that they're doing that to other people and try their best to moderate that kind of behavior because a lot of them don't care in a Wendell.
Let's look at a simple example of that foolishness. Look at how many accidents there are along the priority bus route
Yeah.
involving vehicles from the National Security Services,
Yes.
right? Not because you have an emergency vehicle or national security vehicle. I don't think that your sense should disappear and make you think that you can just blow through a traffic light because you have siren blaring and lights blaring,
Yeah.
flashing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, good sense should tell you that you're coming up to an intersection and there is a possibility that someone may be in the intersection or entering into the intersection. And
Exactly.
what does it cost you to cover your brakes, slow a little bit before entering the intersection to make sure that it's safe to go through the intersection? But
Yeah.
no, they just blow through the intersection because they are national security related and they kill people, they damage people's property, they leave people injured or maimed,
Mm-hmm.
and year after year it continues.
Yes, because last week we see a few of that. Well, and they were
Yeah,
like yesterday, today, and the next day. It just
yes,
yeah, as though it didn't set any example at all for them to follow.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like nobody is learning,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Because the reality of it is, if you see that this thing happened yesterday, it's all over social media. It is inescapable. The information is inescapable. You can't tell me that you going tomorrow and blow through an intersection in the same manner because you have lights flashing and siren blaring.
Yes. Yes.
So, so David, what are we saying, that we are a senseless people then?
Hmm. Hmm.
Is that what we are demonstrating, that we don't have any sense?
And you don't hear about any of the consequences that these people would face if you, as a normal person, should do that. You know, the law will come down on you. Your
Of course, of
licensing
course.
will come down on you. But you never hear anything coming out of that. They
Not, not
and
only
these vehicles that they are driving also. I mean, it's true the taxpayers' dollars that are buying these vehicles.
right?
So
As you said that, I saw a guy being given a ticket the other day, and he has his dash cam running, and the very same police vehicle that is giving him the ticket
yeah.
has no tail light, and has a defective number plate,
Yes. Imagine.
right?
Yeah.
And and the guy is asking the question, how come they could give me a ticket? Who is giving them the ticket?
Yes. Yes. I find that all of that is very absurd and very irregular and back to front because for you to be issuing tickets, I mean, you have to set examples, I see. your vehicles have to be well kept and well roadworthy. And you see a lot of that. You see a lot of them. Police vehicles with smooth tires. Some of them have no rear lights. Some of them, the flashing lights are broken. The ones on top of the vehicle is broken. And you wonder, these people will pull aside and be sharing tickets if you don't have if, because if your rear brake light are blown or one is blown, somebody has to tell you that, I can
That's
understand
it.
if a headlamp goes, you know what I mean? But rear lights, somebody has to say, partner, your right brake light is not functioning or the left brake light is not functioning. So well, soon come you're gonna fix that. But if you end up in a roadblock and they are checking your lights and they go to the back and say, "Well, you have a blown uh, r- brake light," you get ticket for that. They would not say, "You have a blown light and make sure you change it," or anything like that.
Do you see how for example, in some of the American states, how they operate, how the sheriff deputies will operate? You will see them stop a vehicle and say, "So, ma'am, are you aware that your right side tail light or brakes light is not working?"
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and then you get the opportunity to say, "No, I wasn't aware of that." They will check the system to see what is your record in terms of traffic violation, and then they'll say, "Okay, I will write you a citation." I
Yes.
wouldn't ticket you, right?
Yeah. Yes.
and
Yes.
and you get the opportunity. But no, not in Trinidad. The law, and I would have thought that the law, as you said, somebody has to inform you that this thing is not working.
That's
Now,
right.
let me tell you something, David. Because because of being a driver for so many years and knowing the attitude of the police and the licensing department in Trinidad, every time I go to get into my vehicle
Yeah.
to leave home, I will
Yes.
go walk around my vehicle and check all my lights, check my
Right.
number plate. And
Right.
when I leave in my destination to return home, if
Yes.
it's night time especially, I will do the
Mhm.
same thing. But I will
Mhm.
tell you something, the road conditions is so terrible that I
Yes.
have hit potholes and blown out my bulbs.
Yes. It's true. It happens. It happens.
Because everything coming from China,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And some of the bulbs, the quality is so poor that if you hit a pothole hard enough, the bulb short, so it can blows, right?
Exactly.
And you
Exactly.
bounce up a roadblock. When you
Mhm.
left home or you left work, the bulb was working. But
Mhm.
when you bounce up the roadblock, the bulb not working, but you get a ticket for that.
Yes. 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 There are some bulbs to that they are selling that are very inferior to. It lights
That's
now,
right.
and you next half an hour, so it's gone. But I
That's
think,
right.
yeah, I think they should have cautionary measures, like you said. In America, I think they will ask you, "Are you aware that your light isn't?" They don't have that kind of attitude here at all, at all, at all. I think we should mature. We should have some sort of maturity when it comes to
Do you
this.
know some of the most heavily tinted vehicles that you will encounter in Trinidad and Tobago are licensing officers?
Yes, you can imagine that. You can't
Huh?
even see inside those vehicles. But whether we gotta go, we got to that time. Let me thank Winston James and Bisnat Prasad and Lando Dinsey and Cheryl Seeley. They're all been on the comments board here saying good afternoon to us. And don't worry, folks. Next week, the entire team of the Fathers Association will be here for another edition of a Hard Talk here at Power 102 Digital Friday. Wendell, in closing.
Trinidad and Tobago, let's slow down out there. Let's obey the laws of the land and let's operate in a lawful manner and let's save one another's lives and our own lives.
Yes, yes. I thank you so very much. You be safe and take care, my brother.
Thank you, David. You have a good one. Take
Yes, sir.
care.
Okay, my brother. That's it for today's edition of Hard Talk here, Fathers Association. They are on Hard Talk on Fridays, right here at Power 102 Digital.